remember hearing this particular Indigo Girls album, All That We Let In, for the first time, being turned onto it, any of that stuff?
Yes. Okay, so, but the story starts before that.
Back in time.
Okay, so come with me to choir camp, senior year of high school, and every senior gets to like sing in front of the campfire in front of the rest of the choir the song of their choosing. And my friend Drea was like, we should sing Ghost by the Indigo Girls. And I was like, who are the Indigo Girls? And I heard that song and my brain melted. I was like, no way. And we sang it in front of all the kids doing the harmonies. I swear a shooting star went across the sky. And obviously the Indigo Girls career, a lot of it predates my adolescence. So then pretty much the next album that came out of theirs was All That We Let In. And it was like, I had that CD and I wore it out. Like, I can't wait to talk about these songs and some of these lines. And even just like revisiting it before we did this, I was like, oh, I feel like this influenced me here and here. And like, I went to the tour of it at the Greek in Berkeley.
Wow.
And like, my parents, I'm just going to keep talking until you stop me. I go forever.
I will never stop you, so you're going to keep
Oh my
talking forever.
God. I could talk about them forever. We went to the Greek and like we were in the parking lot walking, my parents and I, and somehow they don't have like security or anything. They're just like walking from their bus in the parking lot, like 10 feet away from us. And my mom goes, oh, you should tell them what they mean to you. And I was like, Mom, not like this. Not like in a parking lot with you guys. And we had the most wonderful night. And like, fast forward to me doing Burning House, it blowing up, and Emily tweeting at me, us becoming friends, writing session together. She brought me a gift when I had my baby. We started like she showed up for one of my shows. We sang together. She's invited me to things. And at one of those Ryman shows, I was there for them. And I was like, okay, like this. And on stage, I was like, this is what you mean to me. They say don't meet your heroes, but like, there's the soul and heart inside of Emily. I don't know Amy as well, but she's so lovely every time I meet her. It's just like, it's not always true. You can meet them. There are some really good humans that also make music.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I always think that's like, it's good to have in your mind, be prepared that the person who you love and have watched from afar may not live up to your expectations or be a different kind of person than you're expecting. But I have had some experiences with people I really love, and they have been everything I've wanted them to be.
Lovely. Oh, good.
These things,
God.
dreams can come true. Let's
Yes.
not be the cliche that we. But I think the Indigo Girls are artists who, for me, feel that way. That they're my friends. They are my friends. Like their music means so much to me. Everything, the emotional content, the different songs that mean different things to different periods of my life, all that stuff. I mean, you were talking about the conversation I had with Meryl Garbus that like having those touchstones when you're like, this person means so much to me. These people mean so much to me. And you just have this really strong connection, and then getting to like actually for real be friends with them is
unreal.
Pretty exciting.
No, and like we even did like a writing session, me and Emily, one point, just kind of like mostly just chatting, and it was so funny. She was just like, oh, like she said something along the effect of like she really, enjoyed hanging out, and I wanted to just be like, you made me, like of course you like me, because so much of me I feel like is like part of you. And we at one point we were writing a line. She was like, ooh, I don't know, would we say that? And I was like, quoted some of her own radical back to her. I was like, yeah, you do say that.
Yeah.
From this album, the like, one day those toughies will be withered up and bent. The Father, Son, the Holy Warriors, and the President. It's like one line. Let me take a shot at it all. It's like,
yeah. Yeah, and that intersection between like beautiful music, these like otherworldly harmonies, the way that they complement each other so well and are still very distinct musicians and very distinct songwriters. But with Emily especially, I feel like she does not have the ability to separate the political from the personal, and it's all so intertwined in her music. You know, it's that
Yeah.
there's both wrapped up in everything. Just that
Yes.
line you sang.
And I think I grew up in, like most of my childhood was in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Mm.
And you, as Tom Hanks says, it doesn't prepare you to live anywhere else because it's like a
Mm.
super bubble. And you're just, I think progressive politics and like what you think you should be talking about in songs, it does feel separate from a lot of the privilege we get from living in a more progressive area, not
Mm.
fully there, but more there than other places. And then I think I moved to Nashville, obviously, to do country music. And I think it gave me a new appreciation for their existence. Like, I just love them as musicians. And then I think realizing what they kind of like lived through, just being themselves and trying to make music was like, well, yeah, I guess you couldn't separate the personal and the political. And it's taken me a second to kind of get on that same page because I just like get so frustrated. I was like, this is so behind in my mind, from my perspective, because I'm like, oh, like you guys, Pride's coming up. Like I'll get
Mm.
the rainbow wigs and the vodka and and then like the first one I went to here in Nashville was like a march,
Mm.
like a 50-person march.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, I read the room totally wrong. And like that's where this whole country is moving at different speeds and in different ways. And yeah, I think being here has given me this just teeny tiny little slice of understanding of like, I appreciate them even more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And may I just say, on behalf of gays across the world, there is no wrong way to celebrate Pride, even if you come to Pride that feels like it is more about the politics. It is also like a radical political act to be joyful in your queerness and be able to just live your life and be proud of who you are and happy with who you are and all of that stuff. So it is a celebration as much as it is political.
I thank you. I love that. It definitely felt like I just dressed up for the wrong scene, but
Mm-mm.
you know.
Yeah, I think you did it right. But speaking of queerness, like I in the 80s and 90s, it was not as easy for musicians to be out. And like, I don't think they were ever in. I think they read pretty gay. I
Yeah.
had always like, it was just, everybody knows that. But it is a really vital component of their music, but their music is also totally universal. And
Yeah.
like,
No, it kind of makes sense I mean, yeah, I'm straight kid
yeah.
and I felt myself in all those songs. So it was they're deep thinkers,
Mm-hmm.
they're probably to their own detriment sometimes, and it just comes through in like obviously the like somewhat anti-authority vibes, and it all made perfect sense to me. Like I remember growing up and like my parents, like I remember everyone in my family, my parents, my grandparents, at one point or another, they didn't quite realize they were doing this, but they would turn to me and they'd be like, listen to this lyric and this turn in this song, or like, this is an important lesson, girls. Like, that type of, my grandma said it about like, now don't forget who's taking you home and in his arms you're gonna be. So darling,
Mm.
say the last dance for me. She's like, remember that. You gotta dance with the guy who brought you there at the end of the night. And I was like, random lesson. But those moments, so I watch them, like everyone I care about, like dance and like burn brighter, which is why I love that you call this like a spark, that what
Mm.
you're talking about.
Mhm.
I watch people that are not musicians like become a brighter version of themselves when their favorite music is on, or they want to share something with you and they're talking through this music to you. I loved it so much that I always would play their music for like a long time. Kids would be like in 7th grade or whatever. They'd be like, oh, do you know all the words to insert whatever cool alternative thing? And I did not know any of it. I felt like
Yeah.
such a nerd because it's such a cool thing. Like music becomes like such a popularity indicator, which I hated. And I was listening to like oldies stations, like
Mm.
30s, 40s, 50s music, 60s music. And like I didn't have any like attachment to modern music. Like really, I didn't really feel it until which even is like a slightly before my time, but until I heard the Indigo Girls and I was like, oh, this is like this is mine. Like this is my light up moment. Like I don't know. It was pretty special to find. And I think I thought I wasn't going to find it for a while
Mm.
because I could see all of them having their own.
Many things, but what a gift to have people who love you sit down with you and listen to music with you like critically and really like point things out to you that it's like, here's something you should appreciate. This is why this song is special. And you know, I had that relationship with my parents, my dad in particular, and like my grandma as well was like really big into show tunes and stuff. And it was still like
Yes.
those kind of feelings. I went to see Gypsy on Broadway with my mom recently when she was here, and we were just talking about like how much it just, you could feel my grandma's presence in the room and that she would have loved to have been there and all that. So this is a wild digression, but the point being, having that foundation, being taught how to appreciate music, not in this like, you know, music theory kind of high level
Yeah.
way. It's like, this is why music touches people. This is the
Hmm.
way that music can really make a difference in your life, teach you lessons, help you see the world in a different way.
Yeah.
Building
Brighten
on
the mood.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, my grandpa, he would, when he first was teaching me, like, because I was just thinking the first music theory I got before I got to choir was that he would teach me on piano. He would just like a ba 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 ba, and he was like a big storyteller and also like a large human. He was like
Mm.
6 foot something, and he would just be like, "Hear this? We're home." Ba ba. It would be like a C, you know, boom 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 boom. He's like, "Hey, we're taking a little trip over here," and he like ba 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 ba, and like kind of go into a minor, and he's like, we're getting lost now. There's like a dark forest, or we're getting lost, and he's kind of like yelling it almost. Where I'm sitting right next to him as a tiny kid at the piano bench, and then he's like, "But I think we're gonna make it. We're gonna find our way back home," you know. And he would get back to C, and it was like that story arc narrative helped me understand so much of like the theory of it all, which I think country music is based on this. I think folk music is based on this. Like, and you hear this in Indigo's Girl stuff. They do so many fun like chord progressions that are this tension and then release. And they are, I think they're pretty country to be honest, but
Mm.
like
Mm-hmm.
they are telling these things that are tense lyrics that then have either this optimism or an acceptance or something
Mm.
when you get to that like harmonic resolution, you're just like, oh, or the longing in the stuff that isn't resolving, and it's just so, it's like, it feels like it's so funny how everybody hears it differently in the different music they love, but it just feels so like correct to me. Like
Mhm.
there's no like right or wrong really, but to me I'm just like, that is just perfect. It's perfectly done. There's no better thing than what each of them chose. And who knows? They sit around, maybe this, all right, and then get up there that day. It's just like, yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah. And it is the, you know, the miracle of artistry that people sit in a room and do these things in a private space and let them out in the world. And when it connects with you, it is that like there's this kind of magic connection. And like you said, taste is subjective. People like all different kinds of things and may absolutely hate the things that you love. but it's something about like your brain chemistry and the brain chemistry of the person who wrote this music is just like perfectly in sync. And also, again, how lucky to have somebody teaching you the basics of playing music and making it fun. That's like good teachers are so important in like every aspect of my life. And it's always people who are like full of joy, wanting to teach
Yes.
things because they're like excited about them and they want to
Yes.
teach it in a way that will get you excited about it in the same way.
And I feel like he wanted to reach me as a kid, but also he was like, a couple martinis deep and having a good time himself, Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it was like you're saying, it's almost like this joy that just kind of bubbles out and spills over into the kid that's sitting next to you somehow. And it's like, that's the stuff for me. I think most people that get into music, I don't know if this is way too big of a generalization, or even people that are like really into like that are sensitive to music. People are just, I think I'm a sensitive person. I think
Mhm.
I respond to like stress and threats in like a really, and so
Mm.
I'm always reading a room to manage things that might spike my own cortisol levels, like just trying very hard to keep my own self in balance. And yeah, there's something about music that I feel like is just so, I don't know, it manages it in a different way. Like
Hmm.
writing and listening, it's like I can bypass some of those efforts.
Yeah. And uh, even visual art, I think the way that people interpret it, like you're still seeing the same thing, even if you're seeing it in a different way. With music, it is like people can hear the music in a completely different way. There are people, and I have said this before many times on this show, crazy people who don't listen to lyrics and don't pay attention to what the song is all about
A
and
lot of
misunderstand
people.
it. A lot of people. But those people can just hear beautiful melodies or really love the instrumentation or whatever, pick out one part and still love that song,
Yeah.
but in a completely different way to you. And that's also so personal and so unique for each individual. But it's, part of the beauty of music to me is that it can be interpreted and received in so many different ways.
Yeah.
So with this, also Ghost. Um, that song is so amazing and I love it. That's all.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. The touching on that song, which is from a different album, but
Oh, it's unreal.
the best. Um, so with this album, there is a lot of I think before this album it was a little clearer that there are Emily songs and there are Amy songs, and there's like a distinct style for each of them. They write
Mhm.
their songs separately. They, come together and do the arrangements and, harmonies and all that stuff. But it's like these are our own pieces and these are our moments to like take center stage. So in some ways, it's like two solo acts, but it's not
Yeah.
like the overlap.
No, I don't
Right
know
there.
anything else like that. It's so cool.
Yeah. And then on this album, I think it started to merge a little bit more. There's not like, there's still very distinct stuff. I mean, the Amy song that's like ska is like,
Yes, yeah.
just like,
So
let's try
good.
something new. Yeah. But that they're both like starting to I don't know, the album before this was like all acoustic, and this album was like they've said in interviews they really made a conscious effort to just say we want to do whatever, we want to try some stuff and really branch out and see what we can do. And I think that kind of opened them up and also brought them together a little bit more in a way that they had always been very tight and made music that it wasn't like every album was like two separate albums because the music was so different. But yeah, it's kind of a unique
Moment,
transition into something else.
which is so crazy. I actually hadn't realized that. And the album I just put out is called All Things Light. And it is a very similar, like, me by myself in the pandemic, like, just had a baby, didn't know what the future held. It was, terrifying time, and was spending time alone in the studio. And this stuff that was coming out of me was just like, I mean, it's gonna be what it's gonna be. I'm definitely not trying to meet anybody's expectations but my own. And it was so freeing. And also just like same thing with the production. It's like I'm not gonna tick any boxes. So this like purposefully sounds country or, anything like that. I'm gonna make it how I want. So it's so fun to hear that because like, yeah, even going through this, what song is it? See those crosses on the side of the road, tied with ribbons in the median. They make me grateful I can go this mile. Lay me down at night and wake me up again. Like that, like gratitude. I have like a line in God, which by the way, I sent this album to Emily before it came out, and she was like, that's my favorite song. And I have a line like, I'm grateful for all I am and for all that I'm not. And it's like not dissimilar, like just like there's something about those sentiments that are happening in this. And I mean, of course,
Mm.
I listened to it so much. I ingested it so deeply. And then when you go back, you're like, oh, yeah, that is kind of, I'm sure I'm pulling so much stuff from them.
Hmm. Yeah, and that kind of stuff that's like really intimate moments that are like the pictures that she's painting with her words. It's like something that is very small, that's this like human thing that she's observing or that happens to her, but it is placed in this context of this like cosmic wonderment, thinking about all these really big issues.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Oh,
Like,
it's so beautiful. The big and the small at the same time. And that is just like, I mean, that is spiritual for me because I think as someone, I wasn't raised with religion and loved it for a whole bunch of my life because I got to, dip in and out of practices and beliefs. And then just like getting my whole world sort of shook up by having a kid and being really terrified of like the unknown with the pandemic and stuff. I was like, I need stuff to hold on to. And that's what you're looking for is just like these threads of meaning in everyday experiences that remind you how divine it all is. And
mhm.
yeah, she just does that for a living.
Yeah. And, you know, I don't think, at least as far as I know, I don't think Amy has any kind of religious affiliation at all. But Emily is pretty open about being a Christian and has talked a lot about it before. I haven't read any interviews about that in a while, so maybe she's moved on from that. But at least at the time this album came out, she definitely talked about her connection to Christianity and to religion. And, I read interviews where people were like, so does that stand in contrast with your queerness? And she's like, no, it's like the way that people make sense of the world is so individual. And I think as long as people aren't hurting other people, as long as people aren't trying to like impose their on other people, whatever helps you to make sense of the world and whatever helps you to kind of feel at peace and feel connected to the world around you.
Yeah. No, I think it's so unfair. I think a lot of us get robbed of the very like spiritual human experience of like realizing that you belong.
Mm.
Like that comes from like spiritual thought and practices. And I think you get robbed by the institutions and the
Mm.
messengers that are just not doing it with good intentions or just hurting people. So it's something that like I I want to be giving in my music that like I want to like do this for myself and then it ends up being I want to do this for other people. I want us all to like be okay talking about it. Where I feel like some people I get a lot of deconstructing Christians that are like DMing me and they're like, "Oh, I see where you are." And then there's I feel like people that are lost in to me it's like minutia, but it's like the linguistics like, "Oh, you can't capitalize the word God," and they're frustrated about what they think following the rules of what they've been taught and it's like I I really feel like if you want to talk about God, everyone should be able to talk about God.
Mm.
Like that is the wild thing to say that someone who, I can't speak for their own reasons, but like we're all connected to this divine thing and to say like you can't talk about it that way is like wild. I think that's robbing people of like a very important experience. So yeah, I appreciate all of that being infused into what the Indigo Girls do, and like it feels like a very strong, I don't know, rudder to it all.
Mm. Yeah, and I think, you know, whether you are religious or not, whether you have any kind of connection to some like structured sense of the bigger picture and where everything comes from and all of those very, you know, huge philosophical concepts, everybody benefits from community and connectedness. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I'm not saying that Indigo Girls are a religion or religious figures, but it's
Oh, it's my church.
the feeling, you know, being at a concert, even just listening to an album and feeling connected to what people are
Yes.
saying. It's like a sermon. It's like, you know, feeling like somebody knows what's going on with you or has had a similar experience, or at least is like a vessel for the,
Yeah.
you know, the thoughts that you're thinking. And
Yes.
yeah, it's really deep.
No, my friend went to their show the other day and she was like, she's queer. She's like, it's the best. There were just so many lesbians. It was wonderful. And it made me think too, the other thing that I love about, I think for straight, I'm going to speak for straight women for a second, but like their like femininity is something that we're all taught to perform. You know, it doesn't like, I have a daughter who's 5. She's not performing femininity yet.
Mm,
And like, you notice it, you're like, oh yeah, everyone's just normal humans until you get taught what you're supposed to be doing. And there's something so freeing for like straight women to like be around a bunch of gay women who are not living their lives for the male gaze.
mm,
You know, it's like,
mhm,
oh, like I could just be like that.
mhm,
Like it's so nice. So when it does feel a little bit like a really safe space to be at one of their shows.
mhm. Yeah, and like that, the specifics of what you're saying, but I think they're also, again, this like universal message and universal feelings about love and relationships and political activism and caring about the
Mhm.
planet and whatever that yeah, they are pretty cool people.
They are.
I think that is a lovely button for the conversation. This has been so much fun. I have to keep reminding myself to not say this is one of the good ones. I had a really great time.
Yeah.
I don't want people to start picking out if I don't
They're
say
like,
it.
oh, he just
Thinking that
says
it
it
means
every
something. And
time.
yeah. But this has been really fantastic. I
It's
love.
so nice talking. I love that this is the concept around it because the frame of it, it's like when you do these interviews, because I've been doing this like 10 years now,
Mm,
it's the same questions.
mhm,
And it's really wonderful to just be like, oh, like what is the root of what's like the why? Like all that
mhm.
stuff is just really nice to talk about.
Yeah, and I always say it's like you are still promoting your album by talking
Yeah.
about this stuff. You are still sharing something about yourself with the world. And
Yeah.
it's like an easier, you know, when I talk to people, I feel like I get them at their best because of exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
So bored of like the cycle of just, you know, so how did you choose where you're going to record the album? And
Yeah.
what was this sound all about? And it's just like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm glad this has been able to provide a little respite for
Yeah. Thank you.
you. Hey, do you want more conversations with incredible people talking about the movies and music they love? Then subscribe to the Spark Parade YouTube channel.